Hey there, wellness family. Today I'm coming to you from Rock Creek Park here in DC, and today I'm going to be talking about premenstrual dysphoric disorder and why we should all be talking about it. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Peter Gordon, and I'm a graduate student working towards what will be an eventual doctorate in clinical psychology. I also happen to be a life and a health and wellness coach, and I make videos on mental health, fitness, wellness, and everything I hope can help you lead your most profound life. And while you're here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as notification bell so that you're notified each week when I post a brand new video. Also, if you could be so kind as to like this video, share it, comment it, and all that good stuff. Now let's get into the heart of today's topic. So today we're going to be talking about premenstrual dysphoric disorder, or PMDD. What is it exactly and why we should be talking about it? But before we start to talk about premenstrual dysphoric disorder, I think it's important to start first talking about premenstrual syndrome, or PMS, which many of us are familiar with rather. Now, for a lot of women, PMS symptoms are major challenges, right? PMS symptoms often start right before menstruation, during menstruation, and a little bit after menstruation. The symptoms for a lot of women can be severe physically speaking. That is, they can have a lot of abdominal cramps, bloating, weight gain, joint pain, diarrhea, and a host of other physical challenges. But for the purposes of this video, the symptoms that I want to focus on are those that involve mood. You see, for a lot of women who struggle with PMS symptoms, a lot of it can be centered around mood. Many can display during menstruation, and again, before menstruation, uncontrollable mood swings. They can become angry for no reason, emotional, just cry at the drop of a hat. They can be lethargic. They can feel sort of socially withdrawn, go through depression, anxiety. These issues can be, for many of these women, crippling. And in many cases, these symptoms can start as early as puberty. And in many ways, we are taught as a society to brush these symptoms off, to see them as part and parcel of being a woman, to see them as being normal. Even women buy into them, right? But the reality is these symptoms can be an indicator of something more serious, something serious such as premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Now, premenstrual dysphoric disorder is way more common than we realize. In fact, it affects about 1 in 6 women worldwide. And the problem here now is that many women actually are suffering from premenstrual dysphoric disorder and don't even realize it, because again, they assume that the symptoms are just part and parcel of being a woman. And for a lot of women, this has caused issues with relationships, has affected their careers, and it's just caused a myriad of problems because they just don't realize it. And again, as men, we look at it as, oh, that's just women PMS, and we are not able to understand that it's more than that. It's deeper. It's a real issue. And so what happens? Basically, no one talks about it. So how does one know if they're suffering from premenstrual dysphoric disorder? Well, for starters, the first thing you need to do is to get a diagnosis either from a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or your medical doctor. But there are signs that can give you an indicator that you could be struggling with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And according to the Statistical Manual of Mental Disorder, which is a book that we use primarily to diagnose mental health challenges, these factors must be present to get a diagnosis of premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And these factors are... So the first thing you want to consider is the timing, meaning that how often are these symptoms occurring? So the first thing you want to think about is these symptoms must occur in the majority of all your menstrual cycles. The second thing is that the symptoms must be present the week before menstruation. And then the third thing is that the symptoms must improve during menstruation and the week after. Now, as far as the symptoms, you need to display at least one or more of the following, right? And the first thing you want to think about is, are you showing marked affective lability? That means, are you showing mood swings? You feel suddenly sad or tearful, or there's an increased sensitivity to rejection, right? Another thing you want to think about is marked irritability. Do you get angry easily, right? The third thing you want to think about is, are you showing marked depressed mood, feelings of hopelessness or self-deprecating thoughts? And the last thing that can be present is a marked anxiety, tension. You just feel keyed up all the time. And then the last criterion, you have to display at least one or more of the following symptoms. A decreased interest in usual activities, like you like to go for a run and you just don't want to do it anymore. Subjective difficulty in concentrating, lethargy, fatigue, lack of energy. Change in appetite, maybe you're overeating or you're craving certain foods, hypersomnia or insomnia, feelings of just being overwhelmed or out of control. And finally, physical symptoms, joint or muscle pain, breast tenderness or swelling, or weight gain and bloating. So if you believe that your symptoms match up to what I just laid out, there's a strong possibility that you could be dealing with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And I would highly encourage you to get it diagnosed. Because here's the thing. When you have a diagnosis of premenstrual dysphoric disorder, it will give you perspective. And with perspective, you can come up with a plan to manage the severity of the symptoms. You see, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, the root cause really is a hormonal imbalance, right? So if you have a hormonal imbalance, the first thing you want to do is make lifestyle changes. For example, maybe you want to exercise more. Maybe you want to change your diet. Maybe you want to get more sleep, right? These are things that can help to recalibrate your hormones, which in turn can potentially help to manage the severity of premenstrual dysphoric disorder. Another thing you can do is to see a therapist, right? And come up with coping mechanisms to manage the severity of it. In more serious cases, perhaps you might need antidepressants, right? So there are things you can do to manage the premenstrual dysphoric disorder. But the main thing is to determine whether or not you are struggling with it. So I hope this video made sense to you. If you believe you're struggling with premenstrual dysphoric disorder, don't blow it off. Again, there are things that can be done. If you know someone that you think might be struggling with premenstrual dysphoric disorder, perhaps you're a man and it's your wife or your daughter, right? Or it's your mother or a female friend, don't blow it off. Talk to them about premenstrual dysphoric disorder and to see if they can get it diagnosed, right? Because again, there are things that can be done. Anyways, family, as always, stay well. But hey, before you go, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, which is my face right there. Also, if you want to check out some of my other videos on mental health, fitness, and wellness, click any one of these buttons. Also, be sure to check me out on Instagram at The Fit Psychotherapist. Stay well, family.